Welcome to brand new Mandela Effects Part 32. A Mandela effect is when a large group of people remember something differently than it is now. This can be everything from a logo, to a song, to more serious things like historical events, or some things never existing in the first place. It's bizarre, and I love it. Here's a crazy one to kick things off. Apparently caffeine doesn't give you energy. It's actually never given anyone any energy. What? Which also means that if you're drinking coffee, Red Bull, Monster, you're not getting energy from that caffeine either. Everyone swears it's a pick-me-up and they can't go without their coffee, but as of now, all it does is block adenosine, which is a neurotransmitter that makes you feel sleepy. So it doesn't give you energy, despite what so many of us remember learning. It just blocks that sleepy feeling. Let's check out an amazing update on a previously covered Mandela effect. Long ago, I talked about a line in Scary Movie 2 that apparently doesn't exist anymore, except for inside people's memories. It was said by actor Chris Elliott to David Cross, and the line was, "Take my strong hand." If you watch it now, he just says, "Take my hand." This Mandela effect has been thoroughly looked into and no solution has ever been found. But today, I came across an amazing piece of residue, like truly amazing. This was shared by a user on Reddit, and here's what she said. So a few years ago, my friend got to meet Chris Elliott, and she was so excited because with this scene in mind, she brought a baby doll arm for him to sign. He obliged and signed it, "To Juliet, take my strong hand," which is odd now, considering that line has been retconned. Isn't that incredible? The line that never existed, that everyone remembers existing, is also remembered by the actor that said it, but now actually didn't say it. In no version, no trailer, nothing of that movie does that line exist. But all of us remember it, and now the actor that supposedly said it remembers it as well. This has now changed from an amazing Mandela effect to now one of the most compelling Mandela effects ever. Let's talk about the American bison, also known as the American buffalo. Growing up, it was common knowledge to apparently many that the bison in America was hunted to extinction. But this is now not true. I first saw a post asking about why the bison was extinct, and every response to it was like, "What are you talking about?" This confused me because when I was young, I remember hearing the same thing, so I started looking more into it. It's not just this one person and me, right? I mean, if we got something wrong, fine. But as I went looking, there are countless examples of people having learned that the bison were extinct. Countless examples, only for that now to be completely wrong. Comment after post after response online talks about people apparently misremembering that bison were extinct. But why? Why do so many people seemingly remember a thing that was never true? The belief that bison are extinct is so commonplace, I even found it parodied in The Simpsons.
I haven't had buffalo in 6 hours. How about whipping up some buffalo sausage, huevos buffaleros, and some fresh squeezed buffalo J?
The buffalo are gone. I think you shot them all.
We wiped out the entire species! What have I done?
There's 2 left.
What have I done?
If you look into the history of American bison, they were at one point near extinct, in 1889, but have since been restored and are no longer threatened with extinction. And the history around this is pretty dark. There was always a demand for bison meat, hide, and bones, but what's far worse is that people hunted them to near extinction as a way to starve off native populations at the time. The stories around this stuff are absolutely horrifying, but the photos, good God, the photos, look at these, it's disturbing. Here's a photo of over 40,000 bison pelts. Just look at that. And even more disturbing is this mound of bison skulls in this 1892 photograph. I can't even find the words to describe the feeling this photo gives me. It's unreal. Today someone would say this is AI generated. So yeah, with stories and history and photos like this, maybe that's why so many people think the American bison went extinct. But it makes me wonder, why is this such a widespread belief? Why do so many people believe, or did believe, otherwise? It's really strange. Do you remember learning that the American bison or American buffalo was extinct? And if you do, where did you learn that from? I'd really like to know. I never thought I'd start a segment off like this before, but let's talk about torture devices of the Middle Ages. Specifically, I want to talk about the Iron Maiden. Iron Maidens are one of the most notorious torture devices ever. It's an upright iron casket with outward opening doors that on the insides of those doors were covered in spikes. The idea is that a prisoner would be put inside of one of these and then the iron door or doors would be shut. The spikes were short and positioned in a way that the victim wouldn't die quickly, but rather bleed out over time. Absolutely brutal way to go. But what if I told you that this wasn't a real thing. And I mean it's real as in an object of fiction, but it was never used on anyone. And it didn't actually exist before the 19th century. The Iron Maiden is apparently considered a myth now. These contraptions apparently started popping up in historical museums, and that alone was enough to propagate this concept that they were real. Does that sound right to you? Apparently most torture in the Middle Ages was just being bound with rope. The idea of getting a confession before execution was to make sure that they didn't go to hell. But the weird misconception / Mandela effect / I don't even know what's going on anymore doesn't end there. Apparently many of the torture devices we all grew up learning about were fake. The Pearl of Anguish? Fake. The Iron Maiden? Fake. The Brazen Bull? Fake. What even is real anymore? How can so many of us grow up believing one thing, only for it to not only be untrue, but to also have never been true at all? And what's troubling to me is it feels like history is just constantly changing, all the time now. I feel like every once in a while you'd learn something, you're like, wow, I didn't know that, or wow, I used to think that, but it's actually this, but it seems like it's happening so often now, all the time. So what did you learn growing up about these things? And does what you remember learning match this seemingly new reality? Let me know. Guess what? We have another missing emoji. One that a ton of people remember existing that now, apparently, has never existed before. Let's talk about it. I've covered missing emoji Mandela effects twice before, and here we are again. We've lost the robber, we've lost the hiker, we've lost the swordfish, among others, and now it's happened again. This time, it's the seahorse emoji. Do you remember there being a seahorse emoji? As it is now, there is no seahorse emoji, and there has evidently never been one. Recently, this has been blowing up online as everyone has been struggling to find evidence that it did indeed exist, but nothing has surfaced. Everyone seems to remember it facing the left side, and that's about it. There seems to be differing opinions on what the color was. Some say it was blue, some say it was yellow, some say it was orange, I'm not really sure. But it's near unanimous that there was a seahorse emoji at some point. There's just no proof, as of right now. I want you to all think about the first navigational device made for traveling in cars. I know that was a very loaded statement, but follow me here. I don't mean opening a big physical map. I mean the first human-made technology of the modern era that we use to get around with in cars. Everyone knows what GPS is, right? Global Positioning System. It's a navigational system developed by the US Department of Defense in the 1970s. It calculates your exact location on Earth and helps you navigate around accurately. This technology became available for all citizens in 1995, and in 2000 it was no longer intentionally downgraded to the public. So everyone had access to the full version. That is, as far as we know, the truth, and that's the way the story has always gone. But now is where the Mandela effect comes in. Apparently the first GPS device was created in 1932. That's right, 1932. There was a device called the Interauto, which is now the world's first personal navigation system for an automobile. This device had a scrolling map and connected to the car's speedometer to remain accurate. In fact, it's been compared to a modern-day Garmin or TomTom navigation device. It tracked your location in real time at an accurate speed as you drove along the road. Am I alone in thinking this is just unbelievable? It feels like an AI-created artificial history that's just too bizarre to believe. And yet apparently it's real, and it has always been real. Is this what you remember learning about? Has anyone ever heard of this before? And not only that, it gets weirder somehow. Doing the research for this, I found out that there was a wristwatch version that you could wear while driving that did about the same thing. This thing was called the Plus 4 Wristlet Route Finder. Wow, that's a mouthful. And it came out in 1927. 1927, before the Great Depression. This wrist navigational device used tiny little scrolls that can be switched in and out depending on what route was taken. I've joked about it many times over the course of this series, but I cannot wait to see what random thing gets retroactively invented next. I don't know, TV in the 1800s? Sure, why not? I just released a Halloween video. It's called The Origins of Halloween, and it's in the description right now with all the other links I've mentioned in this video. Go check them out. Thank you for watching, and until next time, never stop searching.